The world map you learned in school is a lie. Not because the borders have changed, but because the real borders aren't visible anymore. Behind the treaties and the flags, a hidden world is forming, one built on secret handshakes, covert pacts, and unspoken military partnerships. These are the alliances no one talks about, the ones not written into law but sealed in quiet coded messages and midnight phone calls. They're changing the world faster than any open war ever could. In 2025, the global order isn't being redrawn in ink, it's being rewritten in shadows. The United States, China, Russia, and their allies have all learned the same lesson. Power is easier to project when it's deniable. And so instead of grand alliances like NATO or the Warsaw Pact, we're entering what analysts now call the post-treaty era, a world where influence flows through covert cooperation, cyber pipelines, and unmarked cargo ships rather than public declarations. But what exactly are these secret alliances and how are they reshaping the global balance of power, one quiet deal at a time? Let's start with the past, because history has seen this movie before. Secret alliances aren't new. In fact, they're some of history's most dangerous inventions. Before World War I, European powers stitched together a web of hidden agreements, promises of support, secret defense clauses, and military coordination plans no one else knew about. When the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand sparked a regional crisis, those buried commitments pulled the entire continent into war. The German-Russian Reinsurance Treaty of 1887, the secret clauses of the Treaty of London in 1915, and countless unnamed understandings between monarchs, all of them designed to secure influence without public scrutiny, ended up doing the opposite. They made war inevitable. Today's world isn't so different. Only now the alliances don't rely on signatures or seals. They rely on encryption keys, satellite uplinks, and proxy forces that blur the line between ally and asset. And that brings us to the modern shadow networks, the new invisible bloc shaping the 21st century. In the old world, alliances were built in daylight. Leaders signed documents, posed for photos, and issued joint statements. In the new world, alliances are built in silence. They take shape through intelligence sharing, technology transfers, and logistics routes disguised as commercial infrastructure. This is the post-treaty era, a time when the biggest players have realized that formal commitments are liabilities. Open alliances come with obligations. Secret ones come with options. According to multiple defense analyses, at least a dozen countries are now part of what experts call covert alignment structures, unofficial partnerships built around shared goals, not shared treaties. These are relationships designed for flexibility. They can vanish on paper, but continue to operate in reality. For example, a nation might sell drones to another for civilian surveillance and later provide the software update that converts them for military use. Or two countries might sign a trade deal for dual-use materials that coincidentally are also perfect for missile guidance systems. Behind every official announcement, there's often an unofficial purpose, and no one is using that playbook better than Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Individually, these three countries face isolation, sanctions, and international scrutiny. Together, they've found a survival strategy. Over the past few years, Moscow, Tehran, and Pyongyang have quietly built a web of military and technological cooperation that analysts now describe as an informal counterblock to the West. Russia provides advanced weapon blueprints and oil. Iran supplies drones, ballistic missile designs, and access to smuggling corridors. North Korea delivers artillery shells, ammunition, and cyber expertise honed over decades of digital warfare. Each fills a gap the others can't cover, forming a triangle of convenience held together not by ideology, but by necessity. They coordinate indirectly, often through intermediaries. Weapons shipments are disguised as humanitarian cargo, energy exchanges move through third-party companies, cyber operations cross multiple borders before ever reaching their true targets. It's a masterclass in deniability and a direct challenge to the traditional power structures dominated by NATO and US allies. In short, while the world watches official diplomacy crumble, a parallel diplomacy is thriving in the dark. But if Russia and its partners are building a shadow alliance through weapons and warfare, China is doing it through trade and technology. Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, once marketed as an economic lifeline for the developing world, has quietly evolved into something much bigger. Ports in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and East Africa are now considered dual-use, capable of hosting commercial vessels one day and military ships the next. Fiber optic cables laid across continents also carry encrypted military data. High-speed rail lines and logistics hubs double as rapid deployment corridors. China's influence now extends far beyond its borders, from Central Asia to the Red Sea to Latin America. Countries like Pakistan, Cambodia, Egypt, and Colombia have all deepened their cooperation with Beijing under the banner of economic partnership, but with underlying defense coordination included. Unlike NATO, none of this is formal. That's the genius and the danger. China doesn't need bases to project power, it needs access. And access in 2025 is the new territory. The West isn't standing still. While its rivals operate in the shadows, the United States and its allies have learned to adapt, forming what many defense analysts now call a silent NATO. Gone are the days of public alliance announcements and massive summits. The real cooperation happens behind closed doors and encrypted networks, black budgets, and joint tech programs that never make the news. At the heart of this quiet coalition lies the Five Eyes, the intelligence sharing alliance between the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. But since 2023, that network has expanded far beyond its original circle. Japan, South Korea, Israel, and even select European partners have joined specific projects involving cyber defense, quantum communication, and artificial intelligence warfare. These collaborations operate under special technical arrangements, a polite way of saying unofficial, classified, and off the record. Meanwhile, the US military's global footprint is shifting. Instead of building new bases, Washington is focusing on lily pads, small, rapidly deployable sites designed for quick operations and joint missions. These are the invisible pins on the map that connect the silent NATO together. It's not about territory anymore, it's about capability. And in this quiet race, the West is betting on one thing: technology will be its ultimate covert weapon. There's another player in this new alliance game, one that doesn't fly a national flag. Private military companies and defense contractors have become the glue binding many of these unofficial partnerships together. Where governments can't be seen, corporations can move freely. The Wagner Group may have faded, but its successors and counterparts in other countries continue to operate in Africa, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. American security firms, often hired to train local forces, provide everything from drone operations to cybersecurity. Chinese companies under the banner of Belt and Road Security now guard ports and railways from Pakistan to Angola. In the shadows, these private actors become the unofficial envoys of state power. They can deploy without debate, deny involvement when caught, and profit while advancing national interests. It's warfare by outsourcing, and it's becoming the norm. When you can't trace who's pulling the trigger, you can't prove who's breaking the rules. The battlegrounds of these secret alliances aren't on world maps. They're hidden inside other conflicts. Ukraine, Syria, Yemen, and the South China Sea are just a few examples of what experts now call proxy conflict zones. In Ukraine, advanced Western systems like precision artillery, smart shells, and drone coordination are quietly tested and analyzed. In the Middle East, Iranian-made drones face off against Western air defenses in a live chess match of technology. In Ukraine, advanced Western systems like precision artillery, smart shells, and drone coordination are quietly tested and analyzed. And in the Indo-Pacific, satellite networks and undersea cables are the new front lines, the invisible arteries of global power. Each region has become a testing ground for the next generation of warfare, where no one admits participation, but everyone's fingerprints are on the evidence. This is the gray zone, a space between peace and war, where countries maneuver without crossing official red lines. It's a world of cyber intrusions, misinformation campaigns, and sabotage operations designed to win influence without firing a shot. And it's growing fast. If there's one force quietly running this new world order, it's intelligence. The world's spy agencies have never been more interconnected or more active. Signals intelligence partnerships now span continents. The US and Japan share satellite feeds over the Pacific. European agencies coordinate with Israel on counter-drone defenses. Russia and Iran jointly develop surveillance algorithms for electronic warfare. And China's data collection network, backed by massive investment in AI and space reconnaissance, extends into dozens of countries that participate in its digital infrastructure projects. But these intelligence webs aren't just about defense, they're about leverage. Information has become the new currency of power, traded, sold, and weaponized. In many cases, intelligence sharing acts as the true foundation of modern alliances. Forget joint declarations or defense treaties. The real commitment is in who you let into your data. A country can pull out of a treaty overnight, but once it shares its surveillance systems, satellite networks, or encryption protocols, it's locked in a partnership far deeper and far more permanent than any paper agreement. All of this, the hidden alliances, the proxy wars, the secret data exchanges, is creating an unexpected consequence: the quiet collapse of trust. Traditional institutions like the United Nations, NATO, and global arms control bodies rely on transparency. But when nations choose secrecy over accountability, those systems start to crumble. The more states act through covert cooperation, the less predictable the world becomes. If you don't know who's allied with whom, you can't deter conflict, and deterrence has always been the world's safety net. The United Nations still issues resolutions, and peace talks still make headlines, but much of today's diplomacy happens in private channels. Bilateral security consultations, anonymous delegations, cyber summits disguised as trade conferences. The result, a planet operating in two layers, one visible to the public and one only understood by those on the inside. And as secrecy deepens, the potential for misunderstanding grows. A single cyber attack, a drone strike, or an intercepted shipment could trigger a chain reaction, not because of open hostility, but because of the invisible web of hidden promises behind it. When alliances become ghosts, every shadow looks like a threat. For centuries, power was drawn in lines, borders, territories, frontiers. But in 2025, the real-world map doesn't look like that anymore. It's not a patchwork of nations, it's a web. A living, shifting network of influence connecting data centers, energy pipelines, satellite constellations, and cargo routes. Ports in Africa link to bases in the Pacific. Fiber cables from Europe run through Chinese-built hubs in the Middle East. Every piece of the map now serves two purposes: trade and control. The new geography of power isn't about who owns the land, it's about who can see it, connect it, and switch it off. An air base might be obsolete, but a server farm, that's a fortress. A battleship might rust, but a satellite network can dominate entire continents. And a friendly infrastructure loan can be more effective than an invasion. This is the new cartography of control, invisible to the eye but felt everywhere. Borders are no longer drawn with soldiers, they're drawn with systems. For every nation that benefits from these hidden alliances, there's an equal and opposite danger. Because secrecy doesn't just create power, it creates confusion. In the old world, deterrence worked because red lines were clear. Everyone knew who was allied, who wasn't, and what retaliation would follow. Now those lines have vanished. A cyber attack traced to one country might have actually been launched by a partner of its rival or an independent hacker working for both. A drone strike on a supply convoy could trigger diplomatic outrage between countries that officially aren't even at war. This is the paradox of the post-treaty era. As cooperation deepens in secret, the risk of open conflict rises. No one wants war. But when no one knows where the alliances lie, war can start by accident. Analysts call it strategic opacity, the art of keeping your commitments deliberately vague. It's a powerful deterrent, but also a dangerous gamble. Because in a world of hidden friends and quiet enemies, every spark looks like the start of a fire. So what comes next? The 21st century won't be ruled by a single superpower or even by competing blocs. It will be ruled by networks. Power will belong to those who can build, manage, and hide their alliances most effectively. Nations with strong intelligence ecosystems, resilient cyber defenses, and trusted partners will shape global decisions without ever appearing on a map. In many ways, it's the return of an ancient concept: empires of influence rather than empires of land. But unlike the past, these new empires exist in the digital and diplomatic shadows, not on battlefields. It's a quieter world, but also a more fragile one. Because when no one admits who's aligned with whom, trust dies. And when trust dies, peace has nothing left to stand on. We may already be living in the most interconnected and yet most divided era of human history. And the scariest part? It's all by design. The official maps still show borders, flags, and capitals, but the real map, the one that determines who holds power, can't be printed or framed. It's hidden in fiber lines under the oceans, encrypted messages between embassies, and the secret understandings of generals who smile in public and scheme in private. The great military alliances of the 20th century were written in treaties. The great alliances of the 21st are written in code, both digital and diplomatic. When the history books of this century are written, the most influential pacts won't be the ones signed in front of cameras. They'll be the ones no one ever saw. Because the truth is simple, the world is being redrawn right now in silence. And the question that remains is this: who's really redrawing the map and who's just being erased from it?